14. Joshua chapter 4, oops, I'm in the wrong book, y'all. I went the wrong direction. Joshua chapter 14, we're going to read verses 6 through 12. Then the people of Judah came to Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, in Kadesh Barnea, concerning you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses and the servant of the Lord sent me from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. And I brought him word again as it was in my heart. But my brothers who went up with me made the heart of the people melt, yet I wholly followed the Lord my God. And Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the land on which your foot has trodden shall be an inheritance for you and your children forever, because you have wholly followed the Lord my God. And now behold, the Lord has kept me alive, just as he said he would, these 45 years since the time that the Lord spoke this word to Moses, while Israel walked in the wilderness. And now behold, I'm this day 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was in the day that Moses sent me. My strength now is as my strength was then, for war and for going and coming. So now give me this hill country of which the Lord has spoke on that day. For you heard on that day now how the Anakim were there with great fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out, just as the Lord said." We see Caleb, he's 85 years old. He and Joshua are the only two people left of their entire generation that get to go into the promised land. And I think it's safe to assume he's fought alongside Joshua as they've been conquering this land. And he goes to Joshua and he says, I may be 85, but I feel like I'm 40. And I'm ready to go get what God has told me he will give me. See, God has given us an inheritance. He's told us we'll be successful if we preach his word, if we go into the world. We see an example in the New Testament of just unbelievable success in the spread of the word of God. We see somebody 85 years old. Do you think his daughter was there next to him saying, Dad, come on, you're 85. We got a nice little place over here. We don't need the hill country. You don't need to be out there fighting giants. Come on, let's go over here, find a place in the shade and drink some lemonade. But Caleb said, I may be 85, but God made a promise to me, and I want what was promised. That's really inspiring to me. It's you take somebody that, like I said, he had every right to relax. And something that's kind of cool is he brings up the fact that there's Anakim in that land. As we know from when the Israelites spied out the land, the Anakim were giants. Another thing that was pointed out by an instructor when we were looking at the book of Joshua earlier this year was he asked us, why are there stories about giants in the Bible? Well, I don't know. Why? Because they were there. He said, you ever notice that the giants never win? Not one example in the Bible of the giants defeating God and his people. They always lose. And he said, what's interesting is kind of, when you read this, you almost get the impression that the reason Caleb wants to go back to that land is because he wants to go fight those giants. He knows they're there. That's why people didn't want to go in the first place. Not only does he say, I want to fight the biggest and baddest among them, because God has promised me victory. We'll go back to the King James, and I want this idea to stick with you. This verse in the King James is interpreted, now therefore, give me this mountain. I just want that to sit with you. And if you take anything away today, keep that phrase in your mind. Now give me this mountain. So once you take a look at what God has given us, we can start seeing how we can work for his kingdom. You see a need, you see it needs to be done. You look at what you have available to do this. The importance of planning, I don't remember, I think Henry Ford's been credited with it, but I don't know if it's really him that came up with it, but the idea of failing to plan is a plan to fail. It's true in the church too. Let's make a plan how we're going to achieve our goals, achieve the tasks that God's given us. And we all have excuses. I'm not smart enough, I don't know enough, I'm not old enough, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too short, I'm too tall. We all have excuses for why we can't do things. And I'm going to quote my grandma, hogwash. Once again, you and God, me and God, we make a majority. That's the beauty. God fills in our deficiencies. He just needs our effort. God uses anybody. This brings me to my last quote from Truett Cathy. Another quote of his was, if you don't want to serve people, you probably don't belong in the restaurant business. And that's a pretty true thing. But once again, I want to adapt it to our use in the church. If you don't want to serve people, you probably don't belong in the Christian business. If there's anything you have need of, if you'd like the prayers of the church, if you want to make the commitment to work for God for the rest of your life, come now as we stand and sing.
Let there be praise.